It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our Head of Business Development, Lei, to talk about various different interesting topics where Amazon Web Services is involved with Alex Matsuo. And therefore, please welcome to stage Lei and Alex Matsuo.
All right, well, thanks everyone. It's so great to see that the NearCon app is a huge hit. So keep claiming your NCon tokens. Thanks so much, Phil, for the introduction. I'm very excited today to have a fireside chat with Alex Matsuo, who comes from Amazon Web Services, which is one of the premier cloud infra in the world. From Amazon, which is a company that doesn't need any kind of introduction. So let me pass it over to Alex to give us a few comments about how he was brought into the Web3 world.
All right, thanks, Lele. So the first question that I usually have is how come one of the most centralized actor in the world, player in the world, Amazon, is doing something in a decentralized world. And I'm going to try to explain what we do and for who we try to do that. I've been in the space for 5-6 years now, so I'm neither an OG nor a newbie. And the reason I used to be at OKEx, so from the crypto exchange perspective, and the reason why I joined a more centralized player is because I believe that there is a space for more decentralization, more ownership, more transparency, but I'm not a maximalist. I think there's a spectrum, and we come from a very centralized world. Now we have these amazing decentralized capabilities. Let's try to find the middle ground. So what AWS does in the Web3 space, there's two areas. One, products and services in blockchain, and two, business growth for the builders. On the product side, whether you are doing some running your nodes, querying data on chain for any transactions, if you are doing some staking, some tokenizations, we are helping you and the projects to build and co-build together the solutions for you. So that's one thing. On the business growth side, we are really here, I would say, to support the growth of the whole ecosystem. And any startups, any projects, early stage, seeds, pre-seed, round A, that are trying to grow in the Web3 ecosystem, we are helping them in three areas. One, to raise funds. So if you're trying to raise funds, we are facilitating some intros to VCs, angels, corporate investors. Two, go-to-market business development. So if you are looking to find some partners, whether they're commercial partners, strategic partners, we have a lot of programs for that as well. And third, more around visibility and marketing. But maybe we can touch more details later on.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a really great overview and intro. So maybe going back to kind of Amazon Web Services is this glue and sitting in the cross-section between a lot of the Web2 giants, but being a Web3 company there. What are some of the most commonly asked questions that you see from the Web2 enterprise side? And what are the use cases that they want to see? Or how do they think about, like, how can I enter?
So not only the Web2, but the traditional corporates, the big enterprise of this world, there's not a single week where they don't come to us and say, we want to get the most benefits of Web3. We have an innovation lab or innovation department, but we don't know how to start. We don't know who to talk to, what are some proof of concept, what are the benefits sometimes for our users. And this is where we try to put in connection and make some relationship between those big players and the players from the startups and the projects and the builders in this ecosystem. So without giving too much non-public example, but we have the Nike, the Starbucks, Adidas of this world. Whenever they try to launch some new line of product or services, Web3 related, whether it's loyalty programs through NFT, whether it's tokenization, Web3 gaming, then we try to introduce them the top 5, top 10 existing projects in the market in Web3 who are already doing something similar in that space, and then facilitating some kind of collaboration between those two worlds, Web2 and Web3. I think 12 months, 18 months ago, a lot of the Web3 players, they didn't want to be associated with traditional players or Web2 worlds. Things have changed, obviously, and now it's quite the opposite. A lot of the Web3 builders are asking to be associated and collaborate and talk to the big corporate of this world for a proof of concept or to build something together.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, speaking of that, Near is a vibrant ecosystem of many projects and builders who are building specific use cases, many of which are very, very applicable to many of these big enterprises like loyalty reward, NFTs, Fidgetals, token gating. So I would love to hear more about the AWS emerging Accelerator and how we could work more closely. So we also have a great program with Horizon, which really focuses on incubating many of these projects and working on, how do we help a lot of our Web3 developers with their go-to-market strategy, with their product design, but also like how can we, facilitate finding them some of the clients that could be helpful for the products and POCs that they're building.
Right, so indeed we have an emerging tech accelerator which comprises all the big buzzwords, Gen AI, LLMs, machine learning, and Web3 blockchain, crypto, because all the big corporates and the ventures, the investors, are asking to combine those disruptive technology in one group so they can present it and almost have a one united team behind these disruptive technologies. And why we love so much Near Horizon is because this is really the beginning of everything, where everything starts. What I mean by that is you are an incubator, very early stage project, you have cohorts. We are happy to announce that we collaborate with you and this Near Horizon, and whoever is part of this cohort can have access to a specific, I would say, access to AWS through your team. And then suddenly you are part of our ecosystem, not only from a credit perspective, which is important because when you are an early stage startup, every cost counts, but also from a program perspective. So suddenly, if you are part of this Near Horizon cohort, you will leverage all our services and programs in terms of fundraising, go-to-market, business development, potentially co-build a proof of concept and a product together. And at one point, when you get a little bit more mature, some kind of visibility and marketing and PR that we would do together. I mean, some of the projects that are building on Near, we are doing things together from the very early stage, like PySpeak, to more mature, like Calimero or Sweatcoin Economy, are some of the examples that we are happy to collaborate with through the Near ecosystem.
Great to hear. So AWS Web3 team is, housed within this huge, kind of AWS broader cloud services and Amazon. How do you, how do you navigate that as somebody who works also within a big company that's pushing the Web3 angle?
I guess when you work in a big corporation, which the core business is not Web3, there are always, I shouldn't say, challenges or back and forth. Web3 is not the main business of Nike, of Amazon, of Starbucks, but definitely we need to push. And at the end of the day, it's the same as what we always hear from all the corporates, is what is the benefits and the real use case for the end users. This is the number one theme that we get now. It's really all about how do you abstract all the complexity of Web3. I don't want to, most of the big corporate or even the investors now, when they have the first discussion with a Web3 project, they don't want to hear about wallets, transaction ID, or those ZK rollups, account abstraction. What they want to hear is what is the real value and the benefits that you can provide, and how do you enhance the user experience? How do you maximize the user interface? And how do you make it as easy as possible? So we talk about Web2 authentication, email recovery, those kind of things that, again, 18 months ago, maybe people didn't want to hear about it. But at the end of the day, this is really where we're going, and at least where a big corporation, and including Amazon, is trying to do, is really make it as easy and simple as possible, hide the wires, abstract all the complexity, and just make it easy for the end user. One of the most successful NFT initiative or program, whatever you want to call it, is Reddit. They onboarded tens of millions of users who minted an NFT on wallets on Reddit without knowing they minted an NFT on the wallets, because everything was abstracted. And that was one of the most successful use cases. And we see more and more, I would say, direction in the abstraction of complexity.
Great. You mentioned that you were at OKEx before, and you're obviously at Amazon Web Services. I would love to hear more about kind of your experience working at a crypto native firm versus a crypto group within a larger firm.
Very different, especially, I mean, OKEx has been around for 10 years, one of the first exchanges. I would say the biggest difference is when you are at OKEx, you make the news. You are the one of the people who make the news, obviously not the only one, but, and things are very fast. Whenever you want to implement something, a couple of calls and it happens. Obviously, when you are part of a Web3 team within a corporate like Amazon, it's very different. You consume the news, you see what happens in the market, sometimes with a little bit of delay or not, and then you try to implement things with few layers of approvals, mechanism, processes, but I mean that's part of the industry, right? You also have whether you like it or not, some kind of reputational risk when you navigate the space. And that's why things are more conservative when you come from a big corporation.
Absolutely. What about kind of the crypto industry has been in, obviously, the bull markets, and we're kind of in a bear market, hopefully heading out soon. What are some of the kind of different trends you've seen from the places you've been, especially at AWS?
One thing, especially if you look forward, right?
Yeah.
One big difference that we see now compared to maybe the previous bear market 4 years ago or 3-4 years ago is that now most of the big corporations are having initiatives in the Web3 space. You even have the CEO of BlackRock, one of the largest asset managers.
Yep.
He became the CMO of Bitcoin, suddenly talking about tokenization, Bitcoin. And so this is a lot of big signs that definitely the big players are in the space, which we see 3 big use cases where people are interested. One more on the financial side, so tokenization of real-world assets. There are some reports saying that in few years, 20% of all the assets will be tokenized on-chain, which represent a 10 trillion, 20 trillion potential market. Cross-border payments is a big one, whether you go with CBDC or you go with a stablecoin, that's another whole debate. We see a lot of loyalty programs through NFT that the big retail brands are working on. When you think about the loyalty program, it hasn't changed for 30, 40 years. If you have a 5% of retention or adoption, you're happy. Now, with the implementation of the Web3 loyalty, it's the other way around. Your community wants more and wants more interaction and more drops and more things from the NFT. So that's the second thing. And the third one is Web3 gaming. I know there's a lot of barriers and challenges still existing, the quality of the game and how the blockchain can be, I would say, scalable in a lot of cases. But the gaming industry is 200 billion, traditional gaming, 200 billion market. It's more than music and movies combined. right? That's the first data. The second data is how the business model of the gaming industry works is that up to 70% of the revenue are captured and kept by the middlemen, publishers, game publishers. If you put those two data in the Web3 world, suddenly the 70% are not captured by a middleman, but redistributed within the ecosystem, within the players, within the creators. And so this 200 billion market could explode even more, because suddenly you don't need few big names and a big games creator and, I don't know, 10 millions of players to be profitable. Because it's a healthier economy, 10,000 players is enough to sustain and to be sustainable within the game ecosystem. And so we can see already a lot of initiatives with hundreds or thousands of new creators going into the space of Web3 gaming. And even the traditional players like EA Sports, Ubisoft, Square Enix are also implementing some Web3 projects in a way. So that's 3 areas: tokenization, cross-border payment, NFT, loyalty through NFT, and Web3 gaming, where we see a lot of demands, at least from our perspective.
That's a really great overview. I guess maybe we could go back to touching more on AWS's Web3 services. Obviously, your core is the cloud infra, which Nir also is a huge user of. But would love to learn more about the Activate, Marketplace, partnership program, and what that might mean for all the builders and founders out there.
All our programs are dedicated first for the early stage builders, projects, and startups. So whether you are looking to raise some funds, even pre-seed seeds, if you are looking to start a business from ideation to proof of concept, then the first commercial partner, first strategic partners, then you scale, then you have investors, or even make some kind of visibility and co-build something. This is some way where we're really happy to talk to you, to talk to the community. And you would be surprised, because not everything is public, but we are already co-building things with very early stage startups, just because there are great talents out there. One thing that I may say, whether it's a good talk or not, I don't know, but we are talking with absolutely amazing builders, tech people, fantastic, brilliant. Sometimes there's a little bit lack of selling capabilities or business acumen. So when they try to raise money, even if they have the best tech solution, they are lacking sometimes some presentation skills or maybe business wordings to raise money or to secure a commercial partner. And this is also where we are happy to help them, not only obviously from a pitch perspective, from a presentation perspective, but also introducing them together to investors, to big corporate, to just other partners within the ecosystem sometimes. From a business perspective, I would say, to help them grow and help showcase how talented and how the amazing solutions that are already out there just need to be sold sometimes in a different way.
Yeah. So speaking of the builders and founders, we have a lot in our audience today. We'd love to hear kind of your words of wisdom or advice for them in how to best navigate the waters right now, or what are some of the common mistakes that you see on top of what you mentioned, which is that many might be great tech founders, but may need to figure out a more detailed go-to-market strategy, or how do I pitch it to my end customers or investors?
Yeah, be resilient. Don't give up after a first no. All the investors, at least from a VC perspective, or even the angels, they tell us, we invest in the people who are sometimes harassing us in a smart way. It doesn't mean being rude or anything, but if they see someone quitting after 2 no, then maybe they don't have the resilience. So be persistent. Sometimes being a founder is also being brave enough to be wrong at the beginning long enough to be right at some point. Jeff Bezos, to talk about Amazon, when he first wanted to raise for Amazon, he wanted to raise a couple of millions. He ended up with $80 commitment. And at the end of the day, he pushed, and he was able to succeed. And sometimes, even if you don't push in one area, you can pivot. You mentioned I was at OKEx. The founder Star, he started with doing bento boxes, which is very different. And suddenly, by I would say iterating the ideas and challenging himself, having a lot of discussion, he was able to create OKEx. I think even Nir, it started as an AI company,
yes.
right? Singularity is near. This is how it came. So there was an interesting pivot and a successful one. The second big advice is that 90% of the startups succeed year one, survive year one, 80% survive year two, even more than half survive year 5. But at the end of the day, only 10% are able to have a successful exit or a successful long-term story. And what does it mean? You alone, you can build very fast at the beginning, but this is together you can build far and you can go far. And collaboration and being part of ecosystem like Near Horizon and at one point, hopefully AWS ecosystem as well, this is where it's going to bring you to the next level and to the long-term success. You don't want to be the 90% that succeed year one. You want to be the 10% that succeed in the long run. And it's the fruit that you're going to harvest 5, 10 years from now starts with collaboration and partnerships today, hopefully with us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for being a great audience. I think those are great words of wisdom to end the panel on.
Thank you. Thank you.